It's possible to go from curly to straight with no blow dryer, no comb, no brush and no straightener. And in today's video, I show you how you can go from curly to straight without any of the above. Thank you so much for checking out my channel, Simply Shev, where we talk about all things natural hair, including my own natural hair journey, styling ideas, DIYs and so much more to help you grow your natural hair long and healthy and strong. What is the main reason why you would band your hair? For most of us natural know that our hair is quite fragile, and so we should try to stay away from heat as much as possible. So, when we want to be able to stretch our hair, we have to look at practices that will enable us to do so without causing damage. Obviously, it's got its advantages and its disadvantages, so I will be talking about that later on in the video. It's important to say that banding is also a hairstyle. The bubble hairstyle that you see is just some bands along a ponytail, so you can absolutely wear it as a style and express yourself through that style as well. But in this instance, I'm using it to straighten my natural hair. By watching this tutorial, I'm hoping that you will be competent to be able to do banding on your natural hair so that you're able to straighten your hair without getting much heat damage on your type 4 natural hair. So first of all, what are the advantages of banding your hair? The first one is no heat. Applying no heat to your type 4 natural hair means that you're going to have less breakage from heat damage. So that is the very first benefit of banding your hair, no heat damage. Another benefit is that because our hair is kinky, coily, it will coil back on itself. So if we tend to dry our hair in puffs or any other styles, we may incur damage. But as you can see with this banding technique, I'm pulling the hair and stretching the hair, and the bands allow them to dry in the way that I've stretched the hair. In that way, my hair doesn't shrink on itself and I don't have any damage. So the second advantage is that I will have less shrinkage. Shrinkage on your hair means less single strand knots and all the problems that we have when our hair dries without, being formed into either twist, a braid, or being dried in a puff. We will get single strand knots. By putting bands on our hair is able to stretch and we are able to not have lots of single strand knots. I find that banding also helps with hair growth because my hair is not being heat damaged, it's not having single strand knots. It means that my hair will grow. It also aids with length retention for all of those reasons as well. So it's a great way to grow your type 4 natural hair and to also stretch it. It's not very complicated to do, and I will go to the video now and show you the technique. So in this video, my hair is being washed, and I did go ahead and plait my hair in about 9 plaits or so. I think it's about 9 or 12 plaits. I then go ahead and gently separate my hair so that it's not, formed into the old style that it was in. And then I go from the root and I apply the braid as tight as possible to the root so that the root is straightened. And then I go along the length of my hair and apply the bands. I would say to do this style, it's best for you to wash your hair, detangle and dry your hair in plaits, braids or whatever you want to call them before, and then apply the banding afterwards. And if possible, if it's not straight enough, you can always reband your hair. Another advantage to this style is that it is quite quick to do, so I don't find banding takes a long time. You can obviously do it while you're watching TV or doing, something else, reading a book. Just put the bands along your hair. I don't think that it takes as long time as actually trying to sit down and trying to straighten your natural hair with heat. But yes, before you do this style, please make sure that your hair is quite moisturized. As you saw at the start of this video, I did go ahead and apply moisturizer so that when my hair is straight, it is not dry to touch. It is still quite moisturized, although it is stretched. So for the bands themselves, I would recommend you use ouchless bands to make sure that your hair is not caught on the bands that you're using. For me, I use tights, old tights that I cut up, and I'm able to use them over and over again. Or I can also use ouchless bands. I would also not recommend that you use rubber bands for this style. I would also recommend that you don't use too much product on your hair, or you will also have build up where the band is actually joining the hair, and then your hair will dry and you will also have product rings forming around your hair. So do not use too much product while you are putting the bands in. If you do get to the end of banding your hair and realize that there is product, I would say just use a t-shirt and remove all the excess product. I would also recommend that you band your hair at night so that the next day it's nice and ready for you to go. I wouldn't recommend you try to sort of band the hair and do it the same day for the stretching that you need. Give it as much time as possible, and if possible, if you're indoors, do wear it more than one day. It's also possible to wear this style under a wig, and you can also do it smaller, as I said, and wear it for a longer period of time. You can band short hair, you can band long hair, you can band any type hair, type 4, type 3. It's possible to stretch any type of hair. You could also, as I said, wear it as a hairstyle, so I could very much use this same hairstyle and turn it into a halo braid and look good enough to go outside. Once again, if you do them smaller, they will obviously look a bit better. So the main 3 disadvantages that I see that could happen with this style, the first one is that you'll do the bands too tight, and then you'll end up losing hair from the banding itself. So if you're going to be doing this style, try not to make the bands too tight, especially at the root, because you will also incur damage. The second advantage is that, because it's not heat, it's not a quick fix, it's going to require some time to dry. So the drying time is a second disadvantage. And the third disadvantage is that your hair might not be dry, which I think points to the second disadvantage. But I think that overall it's a great way to stretch your type 4 natural hair without causing heat, which will help you to retain length. So let's look ahead now to the takedown. I would say make sure that you are taking these down with great care. If you've used the right type of banding, taking them out shouldn't be a problem. You might be taking them out, as you can see looking back to this tape, that my hair is looking quite curly while you're taking them out. If it hasn't stretched completely to the way that you want, it's also just possible to put the whole of your hair in a bun and give it an extra stretch. But as you can see, from the first time I showed you my hair at the start of this video, it's got quite a good stretch, and this is just from banding my hair in one day. Because I've gone ahead and I've applied some moisturizer, my hair is looking moisturized, it's looking shiny, and it's looking well stretched and beautiful. And that is one of the main reasons why I like banding my type 4 natural hair. I would say stay away from humectant based products for this style because it will shrink back on itself. Try to use a leave-in that's not too humectant based. So something quite light I think would be great, so that when it dries it's not also trying to dry back on itself. Once again, when you are taking them down, do continue to separate your hair so that it continues to stretch. And if you are not happy with the way it stretched, you could either reband your hair and try to make them tighter together so that it stretches more, because obviously there is also the African threading way of making sure that there's no gaps between the band, and you will get straighter hair. Also, you could also just put your hair in a bun, because that's what I did after this style if I wanted it to just be a little bit straighter to wear in a ponytail, for example. So thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully you've learned what banding is, how it can benefit your natural hair, some of the drawbacks, and I hope that it has inspired you to go ahead and band your hair, because it's great for length retention on type 4 natural hair. Thank you so much for watching my YouTube channel. I will catch you in the next video. Do go ahead and have a blessed day.